Hey, so what I wanted to talk about in this is we've been talking about prototyping a lot in class, and I wanted to talk about my experience of making a prototype. Basically, over the last month or so, I've been working with an artist to create a prototype of sorts for a game to go to publishers, and it's about to go to publishers, and everything's done, and the pitch deck is done, and a part of that was a trailer video, and just to give some context, it's a multiplayer game. And as soon as we had the idea and started working on it, we were making choices. And those choices were to do with how we should best use our time and how to get across the things we needed to get across without wasting any time and money on stuff that we didn't or that we could get away with. And so the first thing it came down to was the multiplayer aspect. Now, for those who build multiplayer, you need to really kind of build a lot up front. And in fact, actually, my specialty is not multiplayer, it's single player gameplay. And I wasn't going to spend time building multiplayer functionality for a game that might never get picked up. So what we decided was that we would build a slice, but it wouldn't be a slice of multiplayer game, it would be a slice of single player gameplay, which we could then convert into multiplayer. So we'd cut it together and get people to react to it and build a trailer in which you'd get a sense of what the game was about, and particularly that of tone, but not actually build in all the functionality. So what we did is we started by sketching out some characters, got some characters together, and then this whole thing is set in a house. So I essentially built a house out of some very, very simple elements. Essentially what I did was I used a tile grid, and I had tiles for the floor and tiles for the walls and for the skirting and for underneath the floorboards and so on. And I just built it like you'd paint in a Mario game, and I put the characters on top of that. And so eventually when that was all done, I started moving the characters around, I started filming them, and I also got friends to react to this stuff. Well, actually, they kind of gave me a whole set of stuff, and then I built the movement around them, which was quite interesting. And then I started pulling this gameplay out into Premiere and thinking about how, if this was a video edit set to music, would I want it to look as a game? And I wanted to convey certain gameplay elements. And sometimes even for this, what I essentially did was I took the characters moving in the game and I green screened them. So I put them against a green background, so then I could just key them out and move them around my Premiere scene. So there's some stuff in there which is entirely confected and doesn't even exist in the slice, although the majority does. So it was really a complete kind of confection of an idea, but really I think this is what was right. And in the end, I also got some friends on camera reacting to things to give it that let's play feel, and that's what you can see in the trailer, which I sadly can't include because it's going to publishers. So there was an enormous contrivance to the centre of it, that what was being presented was not a playable slice, but it was really what we could do with our time and how we could effectively use our time without taking 6 months over it. So it took about a month to do, of which solid work probably about a week in there, and it was really gratifying to put together. And now I think we have something which captures the idea, but also does require funding to be made, and time will tell if that funding comes through. But it was just a very interesting thing about making choices. And so, for instance, with animation, we cut down to just 5-frame animations, or even 2-frame animations in the case of some crawling and things like that. And we really thought about what is it we're going to present. So rather than thinking about all the features that were going to go into it long term, we cut it back to what do we want to show people? What do we want to show people? And sometimes it wasn't the artist doing everything. So, for instance, there's a thing where the kid is able to travel by going up a chimney, so it's escaping a monster. And I essentially built that out of some pre-existing elements and animated it in Unity and did all that stuff. And so a lot of it was very thrown together, but it's come out a little more polished than I think. I think, which is obviously to do with the quality of the art and the music and the editing and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with that. But what it really put me in touch with is the idea that with prototyping, you're just trying to get across a very basic idea, and it's not about presenting something completely polished and something completely finished. I mean, if you can, it's great, but then what do you need funding for? For us, it was never going to be about a small slice, a single level, a single episode, that sort of thing. It was going to be about the big experience, but we wouldn't be able to build the whole thing, so we had to convert tonally. And so in the end, I feel like we did use our time and our resources quite well, and we did it without going crazy and fighting and all of those sorts of things. And now we've got it all to look forward to. But of course, there's a lot of game yet to build out the other side, and no one can actually get in and have an experience as of yet, which is anything like what the game is going to be. So it remains to be seen. But that was my experience prototyping, and I hope you enjoy my reflections on it.